The women's rights movement most notably made its appearance as the flapper culture swept through the United States in the early 1920s. While the suffrage movement began in 1897, it wasn't until this time that it really took hold of the country. In 1913, Alice Paul and Lucy Burns formed the National Women's Party with the goal of passing a federal amendment that would give women the right to vote. World War I served as the final push for women's suffrage in the U.S. after President Woodrow Wilson stated that World War I was a war to be fought for democracy. The National Women's Party became the first group to picket outside of the White House with their belief that the U.S. cannot be a democracy if half of its population is denied the right to vote. In 1916, Margaret Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in the United States in Brooklyn, New York. It was shut down 10 days later and Sanger was arrested. She ended up opening another clinic in 1923. In 1918, Wilson changed his position to advocate women's suffrage. In 1919, the Senate and the House of Representatives passed Susan B. Anthony's Federal Women's Suffrage Amendment, originally introduced in 1878. In 1920, the Women's Bureau of the Department of Labor is formed with the purpose of helping to provide good working conditions for women. On August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment was signed into law and granted women the right to vote. In 1921, Margaret Sanger formed the American Birth Control League, which was renamed Planned Parenthood in 1942. The later portion of the women's rights movement turned in the direction of civil rights. In 1935, Mary McLeod Bethune formed the National Council of Negro Women with the purpose of lobbying against job discrimination, sexism, and racism. The Harlem Renaissance also supported the women's rights movement. Many talented females showed just how much women were capable of. Ella Fitzgerald, Zora Neale Hurston, Lil Hardin Armstrong, and Lucille Bogan were all pop culture icons of the time.